Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 56 of the Clutch Dump.
20 years of trying, 20 years.
And Senna sprints away. Banana
straight. Rossi's right in behind Lorenzo.
The 101st Indianapolis 500 is won by Takuma Sato. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
I'm Nick Patty. I'm joined by Ben Walther. We have a action-packed weekend to cover, and before we get into it, to hype y'all up a little bit, let me just say, I think Ben and I can both confirm this is the most consecutive racing in one weekend either of us have ever watched in our lives.
Very true.
We have a lot. We have International GT3 SRO, we have MotoGP, we have Indycar, we have NASCAR, we have Formula One.
There's a lot going on.
We got a lot. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in. But before we do, make sure to follow us on social media. The Clutch Dump everywhere. Every podcast platform and on Instagram. And here on YouTube, if you're watching, you've already found us. But if you're not and you're listening, you can find us on YouTube at the Clutch Dump Pod. That all being said, Ben, we have, first of all, a shit ton to get through. And
we have a lot.
Before we get into it, I just want to say for everybody listening, I know for myself, it started, this extravaganza of racing started Saturday morning with the Formula One sprint and the beginning of the 24 hours of Spa. And then I watched all of Spa except for the 2 hours that I dozed off in the middle of the night. And Ben was at my place.
It's true.
Basically from early evening Saturday, watched all of Spa. Right when that ended, him and I queued up Formula One, which Formula One technically overlapped for an hour, so we had like a multi-screen setup going on.
That's fine.
We started watching Formula One, and then immediately after Formula One, it was Indy Next, and then immediately after Indy Next was Indycar, and then immediately after Indycar was NASCAR Chicago. And we watched
almost immediately after it got delayed for a while.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, there was a bit of a delay. And then we basically watched all of it consecutively. And first of all, I'm wrecked tired. I don't know how you feel, Ben.
I'm doing dandy.
Well, that's because he didn't drink as much as we did. But
this is true.
We still have leftover Coors, and I got to figure out what to do with it. Drink it. But
I think that's all you can do.
We had a really good time. Kind of the last hurrah before me and my wife head westward. Well, and I guess the brother-in-law, but we're going to be heading westward. But Ben,
yes,
of the kaleidoscope of racing series that we had going on this weekend, which one do you want to cover first? Which, for context, covering Indy Next, people. So if you care, go find another cast. Just saying.
True. Well, I think we should start in chronological order, which does technically mean starting with Formula One.
Okay.
But before we get to the race results, we did have a bit of Formula One news today.
A bit of news everywhere, if we're going to be completely honest.
This is true, but what was for like 6 hours, a lot of hype. So if you didn't see it, McLaren all of a sudden changed their Instagram profile, their Facebook profile, everything, changed the logo in all of their profiles to Chrome. Yep. Everyone got hyped about, because if you're not familiar with one of the greatest Formula One liveries of all time,
right,
the Vodafone McLaren livery, which will be here, everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're going to bring back the Chrome and red. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be awesome. We're very excited. And then they did a very cool release video of it and released...
The video was sick.
And then they released what is honestly kind of an underwhelming livery. Don't get me wrong. Cool. I like that it's different. I like that they did it. But I think the
livery.
I think the problem is that the original livery was really good.
And unfortunately, orange isn't close enough to the red. So I do have a quote. This is my Twitter is going to be. I've been working overtime on Twitter, and somehow I haven't hit the limit. So we're not complaining. But
please,
apparently, as I am, people are upset that the livery's not all chrome, or at least all chrome and then red.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach Brown said, quote, "We're really trying to build our association with the papaya, much like Ferrari's red and Mercedes have their color identity," end quote. Which, okay, sure, you're trying to build your identity with papaya, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do a tribute livery, just do the livery. Or if you want to build identity with papaya, don't do special liveries. Just
Right.
only
Just
do
have a livery. Yeah.
Oh, also, fun fact, Zach. If you want people to build identity with Papaya, maybe don't have as much exposed carbon fiber as Papaya on the car. Maybe just take the couple grams in increased weight and just have the thing solid Papaya.
The car's bad enough they can't afford to do that.
Oh, you're right.
But I like the livery personally. It's not a great livery, but I do like that they did something different. So they are running that for the upcoming Silverstone race, so that should be quite exciting. But we did have quite the interesting Formula One race over the past weekend, both sprint and main race. The sprint race, which I did not actually get to watch, I just had to go and rewatch highlights before I went over to Nick's house. But the sprint race finished as follows, starting at the bottom. Valtteri Bottas in 19th, Zhou Guanyu in 19th, Logan Sargent 18th, Nick DeVries 17th, Yuki Tsunoda 16th, Pierre Gasly 15th, Kevin Magnussen 14th, Alex Albon in 13th, Charles Leclerc all the way down in 12th, Oscar Piastri 11th, Lewis Hamilton 10th, Lando Norris a respectable 9th, George Russell 8th, Esteban Ocon in 7th, Nico Hulkenberg in 6th, Fernando Alonso not on the podium in 5th, Lance Stroll, his teammate ahead of him in 4th, Carlos Sainz starting off the podium in 3rd, Sergio Perez in 2nd, and Max Verstappen, unsurprisingly, in 1st. Now the main race was actually a pretty decent race. However, there was some drama during the race, during qualifying, and then after the race that we did not expect. So if you didn't get to watch the Formula One race or any of the Formula One action this weekend, track limits, specifically turn 10, was a big issue. Now, it is faster if you run the line just slightly wide coming out of 10.
Yes.
It works. It is faster that way. And because, for safety reasons, they've paved that and just painted a white line, you can do that.
Safety reasons?
Physically, you can do that. Whereas we think it should be gravel or grass, so that this doesn't happen. So I'm going to go over the results of the main race as they crossed the line, and then I'll go through, and then I'll talk about the actual results, and we'll go over the drama that preceded the race. So in our main race, Nico Hulkenberg DNF'd, so he finishes 20th. Kevin Magnussen is 19th, Yuki Tsunoda 18th, Oscar Piastri 17th, Valtteri Bottas not having a great weekend, down in 16th, Nick DeVries 15th, Zhou Guanyu 14th, Logan Sargent 13th, Esteban Ocon 12th, Alex Albon just missing out on the points in 11th, Lance Stroll 10th, Pierre Gasly 9th, George Russell 8th, Lewis Hamilton 7th, Fernando Alonso 6th, Lando Norris 5th, Carlos Sainz 4th, and your podium is Sergio Perez 3rd, Charles Leclerc 2nd, and Max Verstappen on the top step. Now, race itself, not incredibly interesting. Max pretty much ran away with the lead.
It was a really fun race. Well, okay, no, I'm actually mixing up the sprint and the regular. The sprint was fun. The legit race was like, oh, Max is doing Max things.
I'll tell you what, though, we did have something rather important happen in the main race that most people probably didn't realize, is Charles Leclerc led the race for a couple laps. Which, the interesting thing to note about that is Max Verstappen has led up until then every lap of the Formula One season until lap 48, or back to lap 48 of Miami.
All this really means is that Max Verstappen, for the first time this season, didn't quite get a full pit stop distance out ahead of second place before he made his one pit stop.
Right.
Whatever.
But he did have that space at the end because Max Verstappen, with 2 laps to go, did pit, despite the fact that he's leading the championship by 1,000,000 points, did pit for a set of softs and then take fastest lap from his teammate Sergio Perez. And then all of a sudden...
I would say, what are the differences?
And then after the race,
yes,
Aston Martin went and launched a protest. Hey, there were more track limits errors, track limits breached. Y'all need to go over this. And the FIA said, yes, you're right. There were 1,200 incidents where someone went over track limits, which has to be a record for a race. And these are your changes. Your podium did not change. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez. That is your 1, 2, 3. That did not change. Both Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso got bumped up one spot into 4th and 5th, respectively.
Right.
Carlos Sainz got demoted from 4th to 6th with a 10-second penalty, so he drops 2 spots. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton swap places. So George is 7th. Hamilton is 8th. Because Hamilton got a 10-second penalty, so he drops 1 place.
Well, hey, his car couldn't turn. Was it really his fault?
His car couldn't turn. It wasn't his fault. So Lance Stroll gets bumped up 1 spot to 9th. Pierre Gasly went down 1 spot because he got a 10-second penalty. Alex Albon got a 10-second penalty, but his position did not change. He remains in 11th. Zhou Guanyu got bumped up 2 spots because Logan Sargent got a 10-second penalty. He did not move. He's still in 13th, but Esteban Ocon got a 30-second penalty and drops him down 2 spots.
The memes where it was like, Esteban, what track layout were you driving?
Oh my gosh. So for starters, 30 seconds of time penalties is nuts. I think it was 5 penalties that he got, is what I saw. It was an unsafe release, and then...
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was unsafe release, and then track limits, and then when you get another one, it is a 10-second penalty, and then another track limits, and then another track limit. So 30 seconds worth of penalties drops him 2 spots down to 14th. Both Valtteri Bottas and Oscar Piastri got bumped up a spot to 15th and 16th. Nick DeVries went down 2 spots from 15th to 17th because he got 15 seconds worth of penalties.
Because he sucks.
And that. Kevin Magnussen got bumped up 1 spot from 19th to 18th because Yuki Tsunoda got 1 5-second time penalty and got bumped down a spot, and Nico Hulkenberg still didn't finish the race. Now, something that's actually quite funny is Nico Hulkenberg did get black and white flagged despite the fact that he was off the track and out of the car.
Yeah.
Like, DNF did not finish, was off the track. Like, I think they were even back to green flag running, and he still got a black and white flag. I think that's ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't apply the penalties. Track limits is track limits. That's the rules. You go over. That's how it works. That's how it should work. But you could just put gravel there and actually slow the cars down, and then they wouldn't do it. Mr. Patty, yes, you in the back.
Oh, thanks. Teacher. So I did this rant on TikTok. Here's my issue, right? In the late 2000s, there was this massive push, to your point, mainly for safety regulations. I think more to the point, it was teams going, oh, we don't want if our driver makes a mistake that he's beached and ruins our race. Like, give us another chance. That way he can, turn back onto the track and keep racing, and it makes it more exciting, and you won't have 13 finishers because people screw around. So in the late 2000s, there was this massive push in all these runoff areas to get rid of the gravel, get rid of the grass, and move it to asphalt or concrete. And the only reason, safety-wise, that they wanted that was mainly because if the car is going sideways at a particular speed, it can catch the gravel and flip.
Right.
That was the main safety reason. So a perfect track as a result of the pushing for the FIA certifications is COTA, because you have the S's, you have turn 19, you have all these areas where there's buttloads of paved runoff.
Right.
Was a direct result of the late 2000s, because obviously the track broke ground late 2000s, finished for the 2012 season.
Yep.
And to maintain FIA certification, you have to meet the FIA's requirements for a lot of this stuff. So that's kind of the history. The problem, though, is in every series, and it's worse in other series typically. If you look at some of the other series that run at COTA, it is much more egregiously abused at turn 19 than even F1 does. So I was explaining on TikTok, I was like, if you're a new F1 fan, this is directly the problem, like an F1 and FIA problem. If it wasn't for F1 and FIA, there wouldn't be these runoffs. And so if you want drivers to obey track limits and you want your race results to be your race results right when the checkered flag drops, put in grass, put in gravel. That way, you drop 2 off, you drop 2 off. Now, some drivers might decide, you know what, I'm still going to risk it, and that's on them. And then if they don't, they crash or get beached. And tough shit. I think we need it for a few reasons. One, don't worry, Ben, I'm coming right back to you.
Okay.
1, self-policing track limits.
Right.
2, when Fangio won his 5 championships, if he made a mistake, he made a mistake, and
Right.
he paid the consequences. He couldn't go like, "Oh shit, I made a mistake." But good thing there's an entire HEB or grocery store parking lot here where I can
Right.
turn around. No. The championships that Senna and even Schumacher won.
Yep.
These are championships that mean more because the consequences for a mistake were severely worse than the consequences for a mistake now. On the safety point, I get the car can flip. A couple things. One, Guan Yu Zhou's accident proves, at least in concept, that these cars are safe enough to survive rolls.
Right. Obviously, we don't want cars to flip, but they do work.
2, cars can roll by nature of the fact that they're open wheel, and if you make contact, like Hulkenberg in Abu Dhabi in 2021,
Yep.
still roll.
Like Nico Hulkenberg almost flipping over in the pit lane.
So that's going to happen regardless. Removing gravel doesn't eliminate that from happening.
Right.
And third, let's just all remind ourselves, even though I know this is kind of poor timing with obviously some events that happen,
Right.
racing is a dangerous sport.
Yep.
You can either compromise the sport in the name of safety to the point where now it's no longer sport and it's no longer entertaining, or you can just be unnecessarily dangerous where no one wants to do it. But if this is the middle ground, we are way too far on the side of eliminating any risk, any danger, and also knowing that the teams have an interest in saying like, oh well, if I have a Yuki Tsunoda or a Nick DeVries, I want all the paved runoff possible because that way when my drivers inevitably make a mistake,
right,
they can just come right back on the track, as opposed to the Lewis Hamiltons or the Fernando Alonso's, the Max Verstappens, who are so inch perfect that having the gravel and the grass there actually rewards and incentivizes, as if winning didn't already, but incentivizes being inch perfect as opposed to getting a little sloppy and that sloppiness actually having some consequences. Track limits are a pain in the butt, and I think it would help every racing series. As you look at turn 19 at COTA for NASCAR or Indycar, they run those suckers way out. And somebody on Twitter rightfully said, either you have no track limits, let them all run wide, and that way it's all equal.
If it's paved, it's good.
Just just move the apex out.
Right.
If they're going to drive that anyway, or put gravel right at the end of it.
Yep.
Those are the two options. You can't do this middle ground.
I mean, you basically mentioned what I was going to say, but basically, yeah, the self-policing track limits. And I kind of talked about this in our previous episode about the Brad Binder incident where he kept running track limits because he kept cutting this one chicane short. And here's the thing. If you put grass, which is what it was, right up to the curb on that chicane, then it becomes okay.
Total Wolf was like, I think the solution is we need more of the sausage curbs. We need more sausage curbs. And then the teams can't complain about the cars getting damaged. And I'm like, why is that the only option? You want to talk about cars getting airborne? Sausage curbs? Remember Monza and F2 or whatever it was like 2 years ago, and the car went doing, shot straight up because it hit the turtle.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
parabolica. Like, dude, God, Europeans, dude.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, like having gravel or grass there works. It fixes the problem.
Or not, it's worked for about 100 years.
It's worked for the majority of motorsport. And I mean, and like the Brad Binder thing, they said afterwards, hey, if there was grass there, you could just run across it and be fine.
Yeah.
But you are taking a risk doing that. And I think if drivers want to go and put a tire off in the grass or the gravel, have at it. You're a professional racing driver. It's your job. If that's your decision, that's your decision.
Drive to Survive fans. Fun fact. And you might have to clip this so I can at Dale Tanhart on Instagram. Drive to Survive fans. I know you won't know this because, you have to be of culture to know this. One of the most famous overtakes in motorsports history is called the Pass in the Grass.
Yep.
First of all, if there's no grass, it doesn't sound as cool. Secondly, that wouldn't be impressive because you'd just be on the racing surface.
Yep.
Cool things happen when there's more risk involved. When sticking too off on the grass because you're so confident you're just going to wrangle and manhandle your car and keep control of it,
right?
Is incredible. You get cool stuff from it. But if Dale Earnhardt went into the dog leg and he went outside track limits, but it was just concrete, we'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and here's the other thing is, okay, Yes, they added up penalties at the end, which affected
That only
almost the entire grid.
it only took like 3.5 or 4 hours, which even for penalty instituting is a long ass time.
But here's the other thing is, okay, we'll take Esteban Ocon, which is the extreme level of the penalties here, right? He got 4 track limits penalties, which means he went off the track at least 12 times.
Yes.
Is how that works.
Right.
Here's
now,
the thing.
If he went off the track 12 times and there was gravel there, it wouldn't have been 12 times. Because the third time, he would have looped it.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is like, okay, and Carlos Sainz, who went off 6 times, one of those 6 times, he would have lost more than 2 positions, or maybe dropped out of the race. So, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, doing the penalties is super harsh. It's not harsh. And if anything, it's getting off easy for a lot of these drivers.
Again, I'm saying this in an informational way for newer fans of motorsport in general. You do not have in any other form of racing other than F1 the amount and complexity of penalties that Formula One does.
It's ridiculous.
1,200 instances that need to be investigated.
Yep.
Here's one. Oh, we dropped 2 off. How do we know? There was dirt, and we saw it.
Yep.
Or oh, he dropped 2 off. We don't care because at the end of the day,
right, it hurt him. Yeah,
it cannot be faster.
Yep.
Sorry. So it doesn't matter. You could run all 4 off. It does not matter because there's self-policing. Anyway, enough of that.
Enough of Formula One. We are going to move on to the Fanatec GT World Challenge with the 24 Hours of Spa. What?
I know you want to do it chronologically, but
I'm just saying in chronological order, 24 Hours of Spa came next.
I know, but NASCAR.
We're going to do NASCAR last because it's the one that you and I want to talk about the most.
NASCAR.
We're going to do it last. Nick, we're going to give it the most attention is what we're going to do, okay? So we're going to start with the 24 Hours of Spa and the Fanatec GT World Championship. This is one of very few 24-hour races that happens every year. It's the only 24-hour race on the Fanatec GT World Challenge calendar. And well, Nick watched about...
What's the Nürburgring then? Is that because it's ADAC, it's not Fanatec?
The 24 Hours of Nürburgring is its own series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 24 NBR is its own little weird series. But they did do an announcement earlier this week that they are expanding to help other, because it's run so well, like safety cars and everything, they're expanding to help other 24-hour series.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get more 24-hour races is basically what's happening. So, yes. But 24 Hours of Spa, Nick watched most of it. Nick watched almost all of it. I watched, I don't know, I came in at like hour 10 or something like that.
So you watched like 12 hours, but you fell asleep also, so about 10.
Right, so I watched about 10 hours of it.
It was about the 3rd or 4th shotgun that when we came inside, we were like...
Right, this is a good time to tap out, go to bed. Shout out to that couch, though. It's a comfy couch.
This one. Actually, right here,
that
Ben was
one.
reclining back like a little cuddly baby.
It was great.
I woke up at some point, and I was like, I'm sleeping with Ben, like on a couch. This is kind of weird. Like, this was not on my bingo card for how this race was going to go.
No, but...
It's like Mr. 24 Hours of Le Mans over here falling asleep.
It's much comfier at your house than it was at Le Mans.
True.
But 24 Hours of Spa was a 70-car grid. I think actually only 69 of them started.
Yep.
So we're not going to go over every finishing result because that would take hours. What I do know is that 21 cars did not finish. That includes the one that did not start. 21 cars did not finish the race. But what we are going to do is go over your top 3 from every class. Mr. Patty, would you like to talk about the finishers of this race?
Sure, I have no problem doing so. So in the Bronze Cup, we have in 3rd place the Sky Tempesta Racing 720S GT3 car with Jeffrey Schmidt, Jonathan Hoy, Chris Froggett, and Eddie Cheever. In 2nd, we had the Pure Racing 911 GT3R with Alex Malakin, Joel Sturm, Marco Seafried, and Klaus Bachler, who you may remember from FAF, obviously. And in 1st place, we had the overall pole sitter, but he finished 1st in class Huber Motorsport 911 GT3R of Ontario's Au, Tim Heineman, Jans Fitj. I screwed it up. And
It
Matteo
happens.
Foley. In Silver Cup, in third, we had the Santalock Junior team in the R8 Evo 2 with Erwin, yes, bastard, Paul Everard, Gregoire Demostier, and Antoine Doquin. In second, we had the Come to You Racing. That's literally what it's called. And
That's
the
what it's
R8
called.
Evo 2 with Sam De Jong, Loris Hezemans, Lucas Legere, and Finlay Hutchinson. If I say these confidently enough, Ben won't know if I'm actually pronouncing it right.
That's why Nick sang them.
The Gold Cup. Third place, also Come to You Racing, also in an R8 Evo 2, Nicholas Bert, Maxime Soulet, and Max Hoffer. In second place for Team WRT in the M4 GT3, we had Jean-Baptiste Simonauer, Kalen Williams, and Nicolas Cruton. In first place with Optima Motorsport in a McLaren 720S, we had Sam DeHaan, Tom Gamble, Charlie Fagg, and Dean McDonald. In Pro-Am, third place, CSA Racing R8 Evo 2 with Erwin Creed, Jean Glorio, Casper Stevenson, and Artur Rougier. In second, Car Collection Motorsports 911 GT3R with Ivan Yakima, Nikki Leutweiler, Alex Fontana, and Nico Menzel. And then in first place in the Sun Energy 1 AMG GT3, we had Martin Conrad, Adam Osaika, Nikki Katzberg, and Chaz Moster. Now, this is the top class, the Pro Cup. In third, we had the Scherers Sport PHX R8 Evo 2 with Luca Engstler, Kevin Vanderlinde, and Nikki Team. In second place in Pro Cup with the Akotis ASP Racing AMG GT3, we had Raffaele Marciello, Timur Boguslavsky, and Jules Gounon. And then in first place in the Rover Racing, but this year M4 GT3, we had Philip Eng, Marco Wittmann, and Nick Yellowly. Shout out, though, to Valentino Rossi. He and his teammates in the WRT M4 finished 6th overall, which is
a totally respectable result.
It is totally respectable. Also, Ben, those last two highlights that you have under there, we've talked, or the Z06 and the GT3 we talked about last week.
Well, I brought those up just because it's going to be exciting to see those race in GT3 next year. But another thing I wanted to point it out is if you listen to all of our podiums that we had, there were two cars not mentioned. Those would be the Aston Martin
and the Lamborghini.
3 cars. The Aston Martin, there is a Mercedes. Sorry, just the Aston Martin and the 296.
And the Lamborghini.
No, there was a Lamborghini and Silver Cup. They got first.
Oh my God. Oh, I missed it.
The GRT.
Yeah, I didn't even say that. Oops. In Silver Cup first, GRT, the Huracan GT3 Evo with Clement Schmid, Benjamin Heights, and Glenn Van Berlo.
Heads up, there was a Huracan who won Silver Cup. But the Huracans were having a very tough time this weekend.
Yes, no Ferraris.
And no Ferraris and no Aston Martins on any of the podiums this weekend. I don't know if that's a BOP thing because the Ferraris won Nürburgring, so maybe they kind of nerfed them down in all the other series. I don't know. And then the Astons not looking good. I know the Vantage, the road car, is supposed to be replaced here in a couple years. And then the Huracan and the R8 have both been discontinued. So we should see quite the shift in GT3 racing in the next couple of years with new street cars, as well as I wouldn't be surprised if the 720S GT3 becomes a 750S GT3. And then with the 911 GT3R, I'm assuming we'll get an update with the .2 of the 992 generation. So a lot changing. I imagine the M4 will be around for a couple years, though. Also, unrelated, because this is IMSA news, FAF has announced that they are going to do a special livery, so stay tuned for all of that. I'm going to run through World Superbike really quick, and then we can talk about IndyCar, and then we can talk about NASCAR. So World Superbike we had at Donington Park this past weekend, and as per all World Superbike weekends, we have a race 1, a Super Pole race, and then a race 2, and then I'm going to briefly mention some championship standings for you. So race 1, your DNFs, Bradley Ray, Loris Baz, Garrett Giralf, Iker Lecuona, and Philip Oidel. That is 20th through 24th. In 19th, Eric Granado, Oliver Koenig, 18th, Haviz Sioren in 17th, Tito Rabat in 16th, Isaac Vinales in 15th, Lorenzo.
You said in You said in 16th, Isaac Vinales, in 15th, Lorenzo Baldassari, but isn't it 15th and 14th?
Sorry, I'm off count. Lorenzo Baldassari finished 14th. Michael Rinaldi finished 13th. Dominic Agerter finished 12th. Xavi Vierge finished 11th. Remy Gardner in 10th. Tom Sykes in 9th. Scott Redding 8th. Axel Bassani in 7th. Alex Lowe's in 6th. Yes. Huh?
Oh, I was like, Tom Sykes is still riding?
Honestly, some of the names that come up, if you look at the stats, it's like you started racing in like 2013.
Or, yeah, wow.
Well, you've been here a while. Alex Lowe's in 6th, Andrea Locatelli in 5th, Danilo Petrucci just off the podium in 4th for race 1, Jonathan Ray in 3rd, Toprak Razgat Lioglu in 2nd, and Alvaro Batista in 1st. Something to note about that race 1, that was Jonathan Ray's 250th podium. So an outstanding job. Well done to Jonathan Ray.
Bonkers.
I know. Still, not only was he already the most successful World Superbike rider in history, he is continuing to stretch that lead with even more race wins. Now, something to note about the Super Pole race, I'm not going to go over all of your results, but no one DNF'd, which was quite interesting to me.
Hey.
But your podium, Toprak Razgat Lioglu took 1st, Alvaro Batista closely behind in 2nd, and Jonathan Ray once again in 3rd. So well done to Toprak. It appears that in World Superbike this year, finding yourself on the top step of the podium is very rare, as we'll see in race 2, where Michael Rinaldi, Tom Sykes, Loris Baz, Xavi Vierge, and Tito Rabat all DNF'd. That is once again 5 people DNFing in race 2. Lorenzo Baldassari finished 19th, Eric Granato in 18th, Oliver Koenig 17th, Isaac Vinales in 16th, Havij Siarin in 15th, Iker Lecuona in 14th, Bradley Ray in 13th this time around, Remy Gardner down to 12th, Dominic Agerter in 11th, Philip Oidel in 10th, Garrett Giralf in a respectable 9th, Andrea Locatelli in 8th, Axel Bassani 7th, Alex Lowe 6th, Jonathan Ray off the podium this time in 5th, Scott Redding, his best result of the season for BMW, in 4th, Danilo Petrucci on the podium in 3rd, Toprak Razgat Lioglu in 2nd, and Alvaro Batista with his 16th win of the season. By the way, that's out of 18. An outstanding result. So Alvaro Batista has won 16 out of the 18 point-scoring events this season. He now leads the championship over Toprak by 93 points, which is absolutely insane. He is off to a incredible lead.
Verstappen things.
He's doing like crazy Max Verstappen things, like insane Max Verstappen things, because there's 3 races a weekend. For World Superbike. So his lead just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We will keep you updated on all things World Superbike moving forwards. But well done to Danilo Petrucci on your podium. Yay! Okay, Mr. Patty.
Rider, now you're not.
But he was also a Moto America rider, and now he's not as well. So step down, but step up again. Mr. Patty, we watched an IndyCar race.
Yes, we did, and it was the first IndyCar race I've ever watched with you. So I'm going to run through the results, and Ben is then going to just touch on some high points. So in last place, not a horrible race, Marcus Ericsson with an average speed of 10 miles an hour for the whole race.
Tough.
That's not a joke. In 26th, Benjamin Paterson. In 25th, Felix Rosenquist, recovering from early contact with Marcus Ericsson. Santino Ferrucci in 24th, 23rd, Augustin Canapino, 22nd, Stingray Robb, 21st, Elio Castroneves, 20th is Connor Daly filling in for Simon Pagenaud. We're going to get to why that is. In 19th, Ryan Hunter-Ray. In 18th, Jack Harvey. 17th, Kyle Kirkwood. 16th, Callum Ilott. 15th, Renus VK. 14th, Devlin DiFrancesco in the sickest liveried car there. 13th is Romain Grosjean. 12th, Joseph Newgarden. 11th, Colton Herta, which you're going to be like, wait, 11th? Didn't he start on the front row? Yes. 10th, Alexander Rossi. 9th, Marcus Armstrong. 8th, Pato O'Ward. Coming from 25th at the start of the race. Insane recovery drive from him. Graham Rahal in 7th. David Malukas in 6th. Scott McLaughlin in 5th. Christian Lundgaard in 4th. Will Power 3rd. In 2nd, Scott Dixon. And your championship leader, who somehow is dominating a series that seemed undominatable, or indomitable. That's it. Is
There we
Alex
go.
Palou for Chip Ganassi Racing. Which,
Yeah.
fun fact, Chip Ganassi Racing with that win now ties Team Penske for overall wins at Mid-Ohio in IndyCar.
With 12, if memory serves me right. Mid-Ohio, this is actually the first race I've ever watched in Mid-Ohio. I'm familiar with the track. I've watched YouTube videos because they run time attack there a lot, and because I'm a nerd for Subarus. Subarus. Mid-Ohio is a super cool track. I actually want to go and ride there someday. That'd be super cool. But you don't hear it talked about because this is really the only major series that runs there. Yeah, this and IMSA is it, and let's be honest, not a lot of people watch either of those series, which is a shame, but I think they're growing.
Well, if you listen to this podcast, you probably do.
Well, you probably do, or if you don't, you should. I mean, that's kind of the purpose of this podcast, is to inform you on all motorsports, because maybe you just watch Formula One, or you're weird and just watch NASCAR, which isn't a bad thing anymore. I lied. I was wrong. I'm sorry. But if you don't watch IndyCar, you should go watch IndyCar, because this is a fantastic race. This was the 40th IndyCar race held at Mid-Ohio. Going into this weekend, the question was, can anyone catch Alex Palou? He had won 2 races in a row. Everyone thought, you can't win 3 races in a row. No one ever dominates an IndyCar series. It doesn't happen. People will win a race here and then won't win a race for a while and then win another one, and then they'll just barely, it'll come down to the last race, the last lap of every season. It appears that Alex Palou has figured out IndyCar and has figured out how to, I hate that we're calling it this, Max Verstappen, the IndyCar series.
I'm not calling it that. You're calling it that.
We're calling it that now. Alex Palou has won.
The Juan Manuel Fangio IndyCar.
There we go. Now we're talking. Alex Palou has now won 3 races on the trot. And yes, Colton Herta was your pole position man. Now, if you heard us mention Simon Pagenaud not being in this race, and you're not on the internet, you won't have seen this, but Simon Pagenaud had a massive crash during practice 2. He barrel rolled 11 times. Driver is fine, by the way. Shout out to the Aero Screens. Big fan. Simon Pagenaud was okay, but he is not permitted to drive in the Mid-Ohio 200, as his accelerometers, by the way, the earplugs that they wear have accelerometers in them that record data, because it's the most accurate way, because in crashes they're concerned about head trauma. So they actually use those to measure G-forces. And he's not permitted to drive in the Mid-Ohio 200 as his accelerometers exceeded 80 Gs. Which is
it's like...
They don't read past 80. So basically, if they reach that, medical staff is like, you get to go home.
Over that, too. Like, they measured 80, but if that's the max, it could have been 100, and it just stopped counting.
Right. I mean, thankfully, it was 80 Gs in a spin and not 80 Gs into a wall, because
killed him.
He would most likely be dead. So shout out. Here we go. Wait a minute. Shout out to Gravel Traps. They're great. Here we go. Simon Pagenaud is a fan of Gravel Traps, and you should be too. So thankfully, Simon Pagenaud is okay. But that was a terrifying crash for him. In your championship, as it sits, Alex Palou is in first with a commanding lead of 110 points at 377 points over one Scott Dixon, who is at 267. Going into the weekend, he was, what is this? I wrote it down. He was leading by 74 points over Marcus Ericsson. Marcus Ericsson, who is now down in 4th. We will keep you updated on IndyCar as the next race is, if this will load, come on. There it is. There it is. Toronto, July 16th. So stay tuned for that. Nick Patty.
Yeah.
We watched NASCAR race.
We've done it. We got Ben to sit down and from start to overtime finish, watch a NASCAR race.
I'll tell you what, all it took was V8 supercars. That's what it took.
I'm just saying this ahead of time. We do actually know how to say his name, but we're just not going to.
We're going to make fun of it. We know.
Who?
Hey, internet. We know. We're just not gonna.
And when we say he, we mean Shizzle von Glizzyborger.
Exactly. Or what is it? Shane Van Halen also. So did you see the Joey Logano video? Did I send it to you? Oh my gosh, I'll try to put that up here. I'll try to get that here somehow. It's so funny.
So going into NASCAR, before we fangirl and before we talk about how it was fantastic, so if somehow you missed it, NASCAR raced for the first time in the sport's history on a street course. You're like, huh? They turned left. I've seen it. No. Like street course, public roads, closed down with concrete on the sides, legit street course. So it was in Chicago, and the Xfinity race, in case you're wondering, Cole Custer won. Who cares? That race was rained
well done
out
to Cole Custer, but no one cares.
To once in a decade floods in Chicago.
Yeah.
So leave it to NASCAR to have the worst luck, because Chicago was also in the worst drought, I believe, in the city's history.
In history, yes. I did go back and look at it.
They have once in a decade rainstorm. So
they were like, oh, we're trying something new. How about all the rain right now?
Exactly. That was actually God crying tears of joy, knowing what was coming.
That's what it was. He could see. He knew.
Yeah, exactly. So NASCAR race this weekend. There was a huge party atmosphere. This is also the second race, I believe, that NBC has broadcasted this season. So kicking off the next kind of half of the season is how people view it.
Yeah.
And we're coming off of a Ross Chastain Team Trackhouse win at Nashville. Man, ooh.
Well done. The memory is solid.
Working on all cylinders today.
He is old, but he is wise.
Ooh, yeah. So then was over. He got to drink a Coors and watch a NASCAR race.
It's true. It felt very American.
No, it felt really good. And I'll say this, I have never verbally cheered as much as I did in this race. And I am also going to say this, people, before you say, look at this, more motorsport podcasters talking about this guy that came in and won a race, this Von Glizzlebach. He came in and all of a sudden they're just like talking about how cool he is. I saw him live at COTA in 2013, the one time they ever came to the United States. And also I was a Jamie Whincup fan back with the Vodafone Holdens. So before you accuse me of being a bandwagoner, I ask you, do you remember Garth Tander? Exactly. Take a seat.
There we go. Internet owned.
Twitter users. So anyway, Hog cranked. Deborah left.
On that note, Mr. Patty, would you like to go over the results of the race?
Not yet. I just wanted to ask before the results. Ben, aside from Vanda Zanda winning the race, what was your favorite part of the NASCAR race?
Oh, it has to be all the shaking and baconating. It had to be. That's all it was.
I didn't even put anything in our notes, but if I had, I would have forgotten to do that.
Dude, it was so good. I've been waiting to say that all day. All day. I've been thinking about, I'm going to say shake and baconate in the podcast.
Go check out our Instagram at the Clutch Dump and you'll know. So let's run through
some context for that. For those of you that don't know, Noah Gragson drives the Wendy's car, which actually had a cool looking livery on it.
Until you realize it's French fries and a Wendy's burger.
It's French fries and a Wendy's burger, but it looks like explosions and flames,
lightning and
right. And they were making a huge deal out of it. They were playing commercials. They had a booth of people wearing bacon suits, which looked awesome. I want to get one. Bacon bucket hats, and on the car it says "Shake and Baconate," which is, by the way, outstanding marketing. I don't know if that was Noah Gregson's team or if that was Wendy's, but that's outstanding marketing.
1,000%.
Also, Noah Gregson stuffed it into the same tire barrier 4 times in this one race. So the joke became too much shake, not enough baconate.
The second time we're like, no, you went too far. That was too much baconating, not enough shake.
You went the wrong way. Not enough shake, too much baconate. So.
Overcorrected. Ben.
Yes.
They have, oh my God, for $10, I'm going to have to buy it, a Noah Gregson. They have 3 different scales of models of the Shake and Baconate car.
I might buy one. That might happen.
Okay, so getting to the results.
Yes.
We had 3 DNFs: Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon, and Ty Dillon. Which I think we need to. Okay.
Let's focus here, people.
Austin, we want to extend our sincerest apologies because I said the only reason you couldn't get past Justin Haley wasn't because of your old tires. It was because you sucked. And promptly 2.5 seconds later, you wrecked your car. Okay, so that was an official clutched up apology because
that is true. Let it be known. Write it down.
Austin Dillon didn't wreck the car. That was on me, guys. But had a DNF, which we actually pissed ourselves laughing at. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was in 34th. Ryan Blaney in 33rd. Martin Truex in 32nd. Bubba Wallace in 31st. Harrison Burton in 30th. Kevin Harvick 29th. Tyler Reddick 28th, which is honestly the shock of the race. Daniel Suarez in 27th. Andy Lawley 26th. The Baconator himself in 25th. Brett Keselowski in 24th. Josh Bilicki in 23rd. Ross Chastain 22nd. Good old honorary American Jensen Button in 21st.
Yep.
Chase Briscoe in 20th. Todd Gilliland in 19th. Christopher Bell in 18th. The Dinger in 17th. Eric Jones in 16th. Ryan Preece in 15th. Corey LaJoie, who was battling there with Chase Elliott for a while, in 14th. William Byron in 13th. Eric Almirola in 12th. Our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin, in 11th. Chris Buescher in 10th. Ty Gibbs 9th. Joey Logano 8th. Michael McDowell 7th. Austin Cindric 6th. Kyle Busch in 5th. Kyle Larson in 4th. Chase Elliott in 3rd. Justin Haley in 2nd. And bringing the field home in 1st place, Silver Von Glitter.
I was wondering what you were going to do. I was wondering.
So,
by the way.
Yeah, those are your results.
By the way, his name, for those of you that don't know, because you may not have heard it pronounced correctly if you watched the race,
true,
is Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it so people know that I can say it as well. Shane Van Gisbergen.
It's not actually that difficult of a name. It's just weird if you're used to American.
Well, and so let me tell you what they were called by our NASCAR broadcast team. Dale Earnhardt Jr. called him Van Gisbergen, and then he called him Gisbergen just instead of Van because
the name kept getting shorter.
Right. We had SVG. We
had
SVG
a lot.
Van Gisbergen.
Yep.
We had Van Gisberger.
Yep.
And then we had Jeff Burton go, Van Giz, Van Giz,
and then just sputtered out, and then just kept the sentence, and then just skipped to the next word of the sentence.
He didn't say anything, and none of the other broadcasters rushed in to help him. They just left him there.
They just left him to hang out and dry.
It was silent, dude.
Oh my gosh, it was brutal to watch.
Ben Giselbacher. Yeah, it was really, really bad and really rough.
Yeah.
Also, they do have a Baconator T-shirt. They do not have the bacon strip.
If it doesn't say Shake and Baconate, I don't want it.
Okay, well, let me go look, Ben.
But really, the big thing is Shane
always be baconating.
That's pretty good. I'm okay with that. I might do that. But this is by far Nick and I's favorite race that we watched this past weekend. Because we are massive Shane von Struben fans.
How about this year?
Possibly, yeah. I went to Le Mans. The race wasn't good, but it was better. This race was better. From a racing standpoint, this was better.
Banquet in the middle of the Texas Hill Country watching NASCAR on a big TV isn't number one.
This is true. It was pretty good. But Shane von Strauss did absolutely outstanding, and it's the first time in 60 years. It's been 60 years since someone won a race on their NASCAR debut.
Johnny Rutherford, 1963 at the Daytona race. But Shane Van Gisselbacher came in and broke that record. He joins a list of, I want to say it was 7 total in the history of the sport.
I think he makes 7.
Yeah.
He is the 7th.
Well, I guess if he joins the list, it's 6, but makes it 7.
We know what you meant, yes. But just for clarification for the people.
Sheamus did a really, really spectacular job. Which, not gonna lie, for like the first 50 laps did not look promising.
No. It won when he was down in 16th.
Impressive,
Yeah.
but not winning potential. Now, do need to clarify, this race, due to daylight, was shortened from 100 laps to 75 laps because it was delayed by about an hour. Also, speaking of the delay, best video of the day was Ricky Stenhouse actively getting interviewed. And the interviewer goes, breaking news, drivers to their cars. And he holds it back, and Ricky just goes, and then he was like, are you ready? And Ricky's like, no.
And Ricky's like standing there in like a polo or something, and has like been chilled
like,
out for like an hour because they cut the race short. And he's like, I guess I have to go drive a NASCAR now.
So this race, fortunately, everyone on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, is rejoicing. The most popular winner that could have happened this weekend.
I mean, everyone's excited about this. No one is upset about this.
Well, and not only that, but it's proven that street races are a good thing for NASCAR. And somebody said we need a rotating race each year, like a different city each year. And so somebody said, hey, NASCAR, go to Long Beach. And then Kyle Kirkwood, who's an IMSA and IndyCar driver, said, absolutely, let's do it.
That'd be awesome.
Scott McLaughlin said that he wants to run a street race next year in NASCAR as a V8 Supercar former driver. And Shane Van Gisbergen said he's doing one more season of V8 Supercars, and then he wants to come race NASCAR.
And then he's totally down to do a full season.
They're like, silly season 2025 already underway. Like,
I mean, so for starters, street circuit, outstanding success for NASCAR. Also, street circuit in the wet really showed how many NASCAR drivers cannot handle varying surfaces and tricky conditions.
Let me real quick. I'll let you run wild. Let me just read through these tweets while I have my phone open.
Oh, please.
Like NASCAR on Twitter. Apparently, there was a guy who broke into the track Saturday night in his C8 Corvette and just ran hot laps, which kudos to you. I hope he
absolutely. God bless him.
Jail time for that.
I hope they made him the mayor.
Honestly. Scott McLaughlin was the Twitter account to follow. Also super cool because NASCAR did a champagne spray for the winner. So for Van Glizzlegobble, he got to do that, which I'm super proud of. Darren Gilliam, who, if you don't follow him, he's Black Flags Matter on Twitter. He said Daniel Suarez got one win in 3 years for Trackhouse. And Glizzy got one in 3 days for Trackhouse.
Well done.
Christopher Wheeler tweeted, and thank God somebody said it. Will NASCAR please now stop saying we have the best drivers in the world? That would be neat. Because, dear Lord, every time they talk about NASCAR drivers, they're like, we got 38 of the best drivers in the world.
I'll tell you what, man. It was so...
Burton impression.
It was very good.
Listen, I'm sure... Listen, you can just say we got 38 of the most above average drivers in America.
We got 38 decent fellas out here. I mean,
we got the 38 best American drivers. You could maybe make that case.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
If you plucked Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson, dropped them in a V8 supercar, not winning first race.
Dead last.
I wouldn't say that, but not
possibly dead last. V8 supercar guys are ruthless.
And here's the other thing. Kimi Räikkönen didn't win first time out. Now, granted, a NASCAR is a little bit more different to an F1 car than it is a V8 supercar.
Let's be honest. NASCAR could be American V8 supercar if it wanted to.
Oh, it absolutely should too.
Should be.
Seeing the NASCAR guys' reactions, so like Austin Cindric was like, oh yeah, like I knew ahead of time this was going to be the case. Joey Logano being like, man, he was fast. Like,
I'll tell you what, man, I don't know his name, but that dude is fast.
He was just fast. I tell you what. And then, okay, response to the race that annoyed me was Justin Haley. He was asked why he didn't win the race. He goes, I just didn't have fresh enough tires. He goes, maybe a little bit of skill. And I was like, bro, no one's ever heard of you. To my knowledge, he's only won one NASCAR race because it ended due to lightning.
Yep.
And listen, College Racing is a fine team, but it ain't Hendrick, it ain't Stewart-Haas, it ain't Penske. You're really saying it was maybe talent why you didn't win?
Maybe talent in tires.
You got manhandled, brother.
if you don't know, Sean Von, what's his name, was putting a tenth of a second a corner on Haley.
Oh, also didn't lock up a wheel when Haley multiple times was like all four tires hard lock up.
I mean, like his car he adapted to that car so quickly. For starters, the pedal box cam that they had, the commentators were flipping out when they saw heel towing.
That's the thing, is Sean Von Gobble, he would heel toe. And the commentators literally were like, he's doing this thing, and we don't see it much. I don't really know why he does it, but he just seems to be comfortable. It's like, hear me out. Engine braking.
Crazy.
Because then the commentators were like, he goes so far into that corner. Look how late he is on the brakes. It's like, it's not.
They're like, I don't know how he does that. And they're like, it's his job. What do you mean, how does he do that?
Which, here's the other thing I don't understand. All the commentators, not all, 2 of the 4 were NASCAR Cup Series drivers when they had manuals. So, like, were you not heel towing on road courses?
I'm very confused. Like, I'm so. It's like this is like a foreign language to them, and I'm like, I can do this in my Camaro.
Yeah, it's like it's not like y'all are driving automatics when y'all raced. What did y'all do? Like,
we didn't go backwards. That's not what happened.
Like Drisberger gets out and he's like, "What did y'all do?"
He's like, "What do you mean that was impressive? I just did my job." He's like, "This is like a supercar, but hooked up." Like,
race car driver. No, but overall, it was a great event, great race. One of my favorite things is the fact that they did radio style commentary. So they had a commentator every 2 or 3 corners that was literally out next to the track. And
super cool.
As cars went by, they would hop to each different one, which led to one of the funniest parts of the broadcast. So Ben, can you just start talking about the race just randomly, and I'm gonna do what happened.
So I mean, Justin Haley absolutely leading the race, going into turn 5.
Oh, Grayson, turn 6. Noah Grayson into the wall. Mike,
so many times.
Probably the best commentating voice of the group. Man, like you would be in the middle of like, what is the meaning of life? We think metaphysically that trash and turn 6 and something going into the wall. Just like so out of pocket, not needed,
like
not for.
The tempo was very mellow. They were discussing it. They were talking about who's locking up, who's running what line, who's getting bumped, whatever.
Whoa, in turn 6.
Like it was like he was like half asleep, and then someone just started shaking him. And it was like, hey, get up. And he's like, what's going on?
No, it was really funny. There was a lot of people on Twitter that were like, hey, do you know? And then it would be in all caps, trouble in turn 6.
So that is going to do it for our NASCAR race at Chicago.
Whoa. We're capping it that quick, brother. I know we're at 57 minutes, but
I have a question for you, Mr. Patty.
Yes, I see it.
Okay, it's a decent question. I want you to think long and hard.
Retired.
Right? Okay, I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Okay, retired first.
So for those of you that have missed the past 20 minutes, Sean Von Grapefruit came from Australian Supercar to NASCAR. So the question is, if you could take an active NASCAR Cup Series driver,
VIN number Risberger,
and throw them from NASCAR into a V8 Supercar. We did a little swap. I'll trade you a driver for a driver. You can have Glizzy Gobber. You can have who? Who are you giving to V8 Supercar?
So should I answer because of who I would actually like to see compete, or who I would love to laugh at while competing?
Both.
I have an answer for either. Okay, so the one to laugh at, I want to see Bubba Wallace just get absolutely humiliated. Like, I want to see him go out there with all of his ego and his swagger and a McDonald's livery V8 Supercar and just get bumped, pushed, and spun out of the way. Just like abused by the V8 Supercar drivers. Now, who would I want to see because of the competition? It would have to be between 2 people.
Okay.
Kyle Busch.
Okay. Sure.
Or Austin Cindric.
Okay.
Because Austin Cindric has done some GT4 racing and stuff with the GT350. I feel like, and he was so good at road courses in Xfinity. I feel like he'd be really good. How about you?
Okay, so Austin Cindric was my choice as well. Now, you get to pick any driver from any time period. I know who it's going to be, but go ahead.
Oh, shit. It's not who you think it is.
Okay, I'm actually surprised about
Who
that.
do you think it is?
I'd assumed it would be Dale.
No. Dale, unfortunately, God love him, was not good at road courses. Jeff Gordon.
Gordon would be good to watch.
Gordon or Tony Stewart, solely so I could get Tony Stewart get out of the car and throw his helmet at somebody.
That'd be really good. That'd be funny to watch. I'd like to see that. I'd also like to see Junior maybe go to a V8 Supercar race if he's bored, just for funsies.
He's in a Mountain Dew liveried V8 Supercar. Yes, please.
Just Mountain Dew ZL1, like no other sponsors. Mountain Dew didn't even sponsor him. He just had stickers left over. Just threw them on the car.
Yeah, they're like orange decals, like ones you get for your bumper, but it's like 1,000 of them slapped onto the car.
Mm-hmm. It's not consistent at all. He just went and grabbed like 20 people from the crowd and was like, "Here's 20 stickers. Here's stickers. Just throw them on."
Some are like Baja Blast stickers. Some are like the vintage logo. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Patty, do you have anything else for NASCAR?
I have a question.
Yes. Okay.
Of any street circuit ever ran in the United States, which one would you like to see most for NASCAR?
I think Long Beach would be super cool because there were so many people who were so bad at road courses that I think it would be a disaster and you would get an unpredictable result. I think Long Beach is the go-to. But I don't know. I'd like to see, obviously I mentioned it when Nick and I were sitting there. At one point there was a San Antonio Grand Prix. There was a street circuit here. I'd like to see that run again. That'd be super cool. And yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty cool if they could run a rotation of different street circuits. And then every couple of years get one.
But for me,
oh wait, Mr. Patty, if you're going to pick any street circuit in America for NASCAR to run at, which one would it be?
Well, I'm going to give you a hint. If we ran it there, I would not allow any Toyota team to run there. I want the Detroit street circuit with a bunch of Chevys and Fords tearing it up with loud, gnarly V8. Like, imagine around the GM towers and then by the Ford like,
that'd be cool.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be super cool.
Old light-to-light boulevards and everything, where people street race in the 60s, make the course that.
That'd be cool. Yeah. That'd be really cool to see. Also, I'd like to throw in there, NASCAR wouldn't be opposed maybe seeing a race or two abroad. Maybe leave the continent.
They did that before. And
maybe spice it up. I know they did, but we should do it again.
I agree. Cool. I think, and we should do the same tracks, Motegi and Suzuka.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Also, Bathurst. Go run at Bathurst.
Okay, so now I got another question. All tracks globally. Where would you, not even because it would be a good race, but just kind of hilarious, where would you want to see NASCAR's most?
I'll be honest, not the Nürburgring or Le Mans, because it would be an absolute disaster.
You took one of mine.
Okay. Nürburgring would be interesting if it was like 15 cars.
No, the full field. Screw it.
I'll be honest, dude. I would do it if like the entire field wasn't the current NASCAR field. I'd do it if it was like, we're going to pick like, oh, cool. We're going to be a 30-car field, and we're going to pick 5 from V8 Supercar, 5 from GT, 5 from Hypercar. Like, we're just going to pick 5, throw you in NASCARs, have it the Nürburgring. That'd be cool. Le Mans, kind of been there, done that. I mean, I don't know. I think Bathurst would be super cool. Trying to think. Yeah, probably Bathurst. I'd really like to see Bathurst. Bathurst is just a gnarly track.
I want Spa because I want to see a field of 40 NASCARs going up Eau Rouge. Or
how did I not think about Spa?
Or here's the best part too. Remember how cool these cars looked when they were under load, sliding around corners? Zandvoort. All the off-camber elevation, unloading, and those cars ways. And then imagine 40 NASCARs all in that really wide hairpin that's super cambered.
I'll tell you what, though, Spa would be ridiculous. Imagine the cars coming up over Eau Rouge. just everyone. Yep, that'd be awesome. NASCAR, broaden your horizons, please.
Dude, as if it's a guy. Dude,
my guy.
Please. That would be...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was an action-packed episode, and honestly, we got through it way faster than I thought we were going to. But I think that is going to do it for episode 50.
I was trying to think of maybe one more cool track.
Nick, do you have another cool track that you'd like to add to your list?
Now that you're pressuring me.
Say it now.
I mean, this isn't an international one, but Laguna Seca would be pretty sick. I'd love to see him coming down the corkscrew.
That'd be really cool, actually. I'd be interested in that. A lot of people going into the wall.
Can we trade Sonoma for Laguna, please?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Do they run at VIR?
No. Ooh, they don't.
That'd be good.
Or Road Atlanta. Come on, NASCAR.
Why don't you run at any of the cool tracks? What the heck?
There's got to be another one that I'm forgetting that's like a super sick international track, which if you're watching this on YouTube, drop it in the comments where you would like to see.
Yeah, please, down in the comments. Let us know. What? Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe Imola, but they're not like, it's not exotic enough. Like I need just a, like, wait a minute, these don't belong here.
This is so out of place.
Brands Hatch would be cool.
Brands Hatch would be really cool, actually. That'd be super sick.
No, Top Gear Test Track. Where you at? Let's see it.
Oh, because, dude, they cross over. That track's a figure 8. You can't wheel to wheel that. Yeah, that'd be a disaster and a half.
Baconating. That's my message to the fans. Make sure you shake and baconate.
That's what we're going to end it off with. That is going to be it for episode 56 of The Clutch Dump. As Nick said at the top of the show, make sure you go follow us on social media at The Clutch Dump. Follow us on the YouTubes. Make sure to subscribe at The Clutch Dump Pod. Make sure you like and share the video. Make sure you have the bell on so that you know when the newest episode drops. If you're listening to this... Also, happy July 4th, yes, because that is tomorrow for us. Make sure that you go and follow us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, whether it's Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple, Google Podcasts, Pandora. We're on all of them. Make sure you follow us and leave a rating of the review. It helps us grow and find a bigger audience. That's going to do it from Nick and I here at The Clutch Dump for episode 56. We'll see you next time.